Hey,
Hi guys.
Matt and Melissa, two English teachers stuck in a house. We're working on Romeo and Juliet. We're on Act 3, Scene 3. In Scene 2 was Juliet
Yes.
wishing for Romeo to be there. She's so excited about tonight. And the nurse comes in and spills just craziness about he's dead, he's dead, he's dead. Juliet thinks that it's Romeo. And then she says it's Tybalt. And then Juliet says, I hate him, I hate him, I can't believe it, it's ridiculous. All this craziness come out of this beautiful flower. And,
She calls him a snake hidden with a flowering face, or, yes. Right.
and, then the nurse tries to insult Romeo, and Juliet changes. And, don't talk about my man. She goes off, and what?
Juliet says that saying that Romeo is banished is worse than death. And that saying that Romeo is banished is like saying that her mother and her father and Tybalt and her own self is dead. And she says that she's going to die a virgin. And we talked about how she can't just be like, well, I guess I'm not married to him anymore. We'll pretend like this never happened because of their devout spiritual beliefs. She truly believed, and like we believe, that when you're married to someone, the covenant is between your spirit and between God, and you can't just get out of that.
So, Scene 3.
Well, hold on. So the nurse agrees, fine, I'll go get Romeo, and you can have your wedding night and whatever, and that's where we left off. So scene 3 opens up, and we're in Friar Lawrence's cell, which is where Romeo has gone to seek refuge before he leaves Verona forever. Romeo, come forth, thou fearful man. Affliction is enamored of thy parts, and thou art wedded to calamity.
Father, what news? What is the prince's doom? What sorrow craves acquaintance at my hand, that I yet know not?
Too familiar is my dear son with such sour company. I bring thee tidings of the prince's doom.
What less than doomsday is the prince's doom?
A gentler judgment vanished from his lips. Not body's death, but body's banishment.
Ha! Banishment? Be merciful, say death, for exile hath more terror in his look, much more than death. Do not say banishment.
Here from Verona art thou banished. Be patient, for the world is broad and wide.
There is no world without Verona walls, but purgatory, torture, hell itself. Hence banished is banished from the world, and world's exile is death, then banished is death mistermed. Calling death banished, thou cutt'st my head off with a golden axe, and smilest upon the stroke that murders me. That's one of my favorite images from a play. He's like, don't say banishment. Banishment's worse than death. And he's being a very teenagery right now. And he says, saying that, calling death banished, thou cutt'st my head off with a golden axe, and smilest upon the stroke that murders me. It's like, you're going to be killed. So who cares if it's a golden axe? Who cares if it's a rusty old axe? You're still cutting my head off.
Right.
A golden axe.
You should put that in your book.
No, maybe.
It's a good one. So one thing that's interesting to me is that Romeo, when he flees, and I think Benvolio says, away, be gone, go, 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 why are you staying? He immediately goes to Friar Lawrence's cell. So he doesn't hear the prince's whole thing. Romeo is fully expecting to be sentenced to death. And, you're going to see in the next part that the friar says that the friar's pretty disgusted with Romeo's response.
Yes.
So picking up in line 24. O deadly sin, O rude unthankfulness, thy fault our law calls death, but the kind prince, taking thy part, hath rushed aside the law and turned that black word death to banishment. This is dear mercy, and thou seest it not.
'Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is here where Juliet lives, and every cat and dog and little mouse, every unworthy thing live here in heaven, and may look on her, but Romeo may not. More validity, more honorable state, more courtship lives and carry on flies than Romeo. They may seize on the white wonder of dear Juliet's hand, and steal a mortal blessing from her lips. who even in pure and vestal modesty still blush, as thinking their own kisses sin. But Romeo may not, he is banished. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. They are free men, but I am banished. And sayest thou yet that exile is not death? Hast thou no poison mixed, no sharp ground knife, no sudden mean of death, though ne'er so mean, but banished to kill me? Banished? O friar, the damned use that word in hell. Howling attends it. How hast thou the heart, being a divine, a ghostly confessor, a sin absolver, and my friend professed to mangle me with that word banished?
So Romeo is a lunatic here.
Even flies get to be a Juliet.
Romeo's jealous of every single thing in Verona's walls that get to spend time with Juliet, and he can't. He's being melodramatic. He's going, like Matt said a few minutes ago, going back to the Romeo we met at the beginning of the entire play, where everything is such a big deal. He says that he asks if he has poison. Can you not mix some poison for me? So he's talking about committing suicide because he can't be with Juliet. This just further ingrains his impetuousness. Something to note is poison was considered a feminine way to die. Real men fell on their own swords and things like that, and he's wanting to swallow poison. So he's just freaking out, and like Matt said, being very teenagery. The friar responds in line 52, "Thou fond madman, hear me a little speak.
Oh, thou wilt speak again of banishment.
I'll give thee armor to keep off that word, adversity sweet milk, philosophy to comfort thee, though thou art banished."
Yet banished? Hang up philosophy, unless philosophy can make a Juliet, displant a town, reverse a prince's doom. It helps not, it prevails not. Talk no more.
Ugh. And I see that madmen have no ears.
How should they, when that wise men have no eyes?
Let me dispute with thee of thy estate.
Thou canst not speak of that thou dost not feel. Wert thou as young as I, Juliet thy love, an hour but married, Tybalt murdered, doting like me, and like me banished, then mightst thou speak, then mightst thou tear thy hair, and fall upon the ground as I do now, taking the measure of an unmade grave.
So Romeo goes to insult the prince. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Let's focus more on him saying that you don't know what it's like to be me.
Well, that's an insult. Because,
friar.
I mean, I said to the prince. I meant to the friar, right? That's an insult because the friar is unmarried and is not allowed to partake in love. And he says, you don't know how I feel. You've never been here before. And he also says, if you were as young as me and had what I had, you would be so upset. So he's like basically calling the friar old and unable to really counsel him on anything. Remember, he said that to Mercutio, too. He says, thou jest at scars who's never felt a wound. So Romeo feels like nobody in the world could possibly understand how he's feeling, and he shoves people off that are trying to help him usually or trying to connect with him. So he's saying all this, and he falls on the ground, and he's measuring out his grave. That's what he's asking him to do. Take a measure of my unmade grave. Figure out how big you need to dig the hole.
It's very Monty Python.
And then we have, arise, one knocks. Good Romeo, hide thyself.
Not I, unless the breath of heart-sick groans mist-like enfold me from the search of eyes.
Hark how they knock. Who's there? Romeo, arise, thou wilt be taken. Stay a while. Stand up. Run to my study by and by. God's will, what simpleness is this? I come. Who knocks so hard? Whence come you? What's your will? And I'm going to be switching to the nurse. Let me come in, and you shall know my errand. I come from Lady Juliet. Welcome, then.
Unlocks the door.
Oh, holy friar, oh, tell me, holy friar, where's my lady's lord? Where's Romeo? There, on the ground, with his own tears made drunk. Oh, he is even in my mistress' case. Just in her case. Oh, woeful sympathy, piteous predicament, even so lies she, blubbering and weeping and blubbering. Stand up, and you be a man. For Juliet's sake, for her sake, rise and stand. Why should you fall into so deep an O?
Nurse.
Sir, death's the end of all.
Speakest thou of Juliet? How is it with her? Doth not she think me an old murderer? Now I have stained the childhood of our joy with blood removed but little from her own. Where is she, and how doth she, and what says my concealed lady of our cancelled love? So, like the friar says before, that there's no strength in.
Women fall when there's no strength in men.
Yes, now the nurse was saying it. Stand up, be a man for your wife.
Yeah, you're fallen, and she's worse than he is. She actually, not worse, she says that, oh, he's even with her. Like, they're both blubbering and weeping and blubbering and weeping. And so they're both acting absolutely despondent here. And the nurse, who's not really super experienced in matters of love because her husband died a long time ago, and the friar, who's not, are both trying to deal with these teenagers, and they're out of their minds. So line 99. Oh, she says nothing, sir, but weeps and weeps, and now falls on her bed, and then starts up, and Tybalt calls, and then on Romeo cries, and then falls down again.
As if that name shot from the deadly level of a gun did murder her, as that name's cursed hand murdered her kinsman. Oh, tell me, friar, tell me, in what vile part of this anatomy doth my name lodge? Tell me, that I may sack the hateful mansion. And he tries to stab himself.
So this is a reference back to actually the balcony scene when Juliet's like, a rose finding their name would smell as sweet. What's in a name? And now Romeo's saying my name murdered her. Like, you say, not her. Tybalt, like, because he's who he is, this whole thing happened because his name is Romeo. If his name had been anything else. And so that's when he asks the friar, he's like, where does my name lodge in myself? I want to cut it out of who I am. Now he's saying he'd deny his father and refuse his name. So as he starts to stab himself, the friar grabs the dagger and says, hold thy desperate hand. Art thou a man? Form cries out thou art. Thy tears are womanish. Thy wild acts denote the unreasonable fury of a beast. Unseemly woman and a seeming man, an ill-beseeming beast and seeming both, thou hast amazed me. By my holy order, I thought thy disposition better tempered. Hast thou slain Tybalt? Wilt thou slay thyself, and slay thy lady that in thy life lives, by doing damned hate upon thyself? Why railest thou on thy birth, the heaven and earth? Since birth and heaven and earth, all three do meet in thee at once, which thou at once wouldst lose. Fie, fie, thou shamest thy shape, thy love, thy wit, which like a usurer aboundest in all, and usest none in that true use indeed, which should bedeck thy shape, thy love, thy wit. Thy noble shape is but a form of wax, digressing from the valor of a man. Thy dear love sworn, but hollow perjury, killing that love which thou hast vowed to cherish. Thy wit, that ornament to shape and love, misshapen in the conduct of them both, like powder in a skilless soldier's flask, is set afire by thine own ignorance, and thou dismembered with thine own defense. What, rouse thee, man, thy Juliet is alive, for whose dear sake thou wast but lately dead. There art thou happy. Tybalt would kill thee, but thou slewest Tybalt. There art thou happy. The law that threatened death becomes thy friend and turns it to exile. There art thou happy. A pack of blessings light upon thy back. Happiness courts thee in her best array, but like a misshaved and sullen wench thou pouts upon thy fortune and thy love. Take heed, for such die miserable. Go, get thee to thy love as was decreed, ascend her chamber hence and comfort her. But look thou stay not till the watch be set, for then thou canst not pass to Mantua, where thou shalt live, till we can find a time to blaze your marriage, reconcile your friends, beg pardon of the prince, and call thee back with 20,000 times more joy than thou went forth in lamentation. Go before, nurse, commend me to thy lady, and bid her hasten all the house to bed, which heavy sorrow makes them act unto. Romeo is coming. So the friar goes off, and do you want to talk about that? I mean, I just read a whole bunch. What do you want to say?
I mean, it was very long. Quickly talk about it. You're acting like a woman. You need to act like a man. You have so many things you need to be blessed and be happy for. The three main is that Tybalt would have killed you, you killed him. the prince would have banished you, would have killed you, but he decided to exile you, and and Juliet still loves you, and and Juliet still loves you.
Yeah, that was 3.
That was 3.
Yeah.
And so get up, go to her room tonight, make this marriage for real, and the nurse is going before you, and then you can go. You say you're gonna go.
Yeah, he says,
Yeah.
then you'll go.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts that Matt didn't mention is when he says, you are your wit that is so that the line is on 130, thy wit that ornament to shape and love misshapen in the conduct of them both, like powder and a skill a soldier's flask is set afire by their own ignorance. He's saying you're so smart and you're so capable of using your words and your language and you can think through things, but the way you're acting right now is as stupid as a soldier who misloads his weapon and blows himself apart trying to shoot it. And that's actually a loose reference to you guys are like fire and powder that when you kiss, you consume one another. He's like, you're acting so rash right now. He's like, you're just being stupid. You'd rather destroy yourself than figure it out. He says, look, just go and be patient. Telling Romeo, whose tragic flaw is his ate, his impetuousness, to be patient is like telling someone who can't see colors to see color. Like you can't just tell somebody to not be who they are down to who they are. He says if you'll go and be patient, we'll let everybody know you got married. We'll beg pardon of the prince, and you'll be able to come back and you'll be able to live here freely. But you just have to wait. So line 159, the nurse says, "Oh Lord, I could have stayed here all the night to hear good counsel. Oh, what learning is, my lord! I'll tell my lady you will come.
Do so, and bid my sweet prepare to chide."
Here, sir, a ring she bid me give you, sir. Hie you, make haste, for it grows very late."
How well my comfort is revived by this.
So the nurse is gone, and Friar Lawrence says, "Go hence, good night, and here stands all your state. Either be gone before the watch be set, or by the break of day disguised from hence. Sojourn in Mantua. I'll find out your man, and he shall signify from time to time every good hap to you that chances here. Give me my hand. 'Tis late. Farewell, good night."
But that a joy past joy calls out on me. It were a grief so brief to part with thee. Farewell.
So Romeo agrees. He's going to go see Juliet. He is going to be gone before they can catch him, and he's going to go to Mantua.